Hello, ladies. This is another episode of Dear Younger Mom. This is programming where we are intentional about nurturing in the very nature of God. And so today I want to talk to us about affirming and celebrating, our children. What triggered this for me this week, I was on Facebook and just read this post where the person was talking about engaging with this couple and asking the woman, what she liked about the husband. And she went on and on and on about things that she appreciated about him. But the catch here was the look on the husband's face, because he had apparently never had any of these things that she was talking about. So he was very much surprised that she appreciated some of his things that he did and valued some of the things that he did, but she just had never communicated that to him. I want to say to us, your children are not mind readers, okay? I also got thinking about just my own childhood, and I know my dad wasn't a big talker. He still is not. And I remember coming back from school, with our report cards at the end of the term, and my dad would look over and perhaps just nod, and that was the affirmation. And for a while, I really thought, is he happy about it? Is he not? Is he not proud of me? And then there were times I would get to hear him talking to someone else, like a visitor, another adult, and then, or maybe a relative, and then he begins to say, to tell them about our report cards and how well we did. And, then it would occur to me, okay, he really is proud of us. Or he really, thinks that we did well, but he just did not say it to us. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And for many of us, that's how our parents, did it. Maybe there may have been something about not overly affirming children so that they don't, become entitled or something. But I want to say to us that there is really no harm in that. In fact, there is every benefit to that. So we know better, so we do better. So I want to say to us that your children are not mind readers. That's what I have already said before. You need to affirm them. You need to, and this is not just about performance. I want to say even focused on things like character traits, behaviors, that they engage in, that you find, to be very much in alignment with what you have been teaching them. An example I would give you is there would be times when my children were in like middle school, high school. I would go to school, and yes, the teacher would talk about the academics, but they would talk about things like how the child was very polite or maybe helpful, with other students. And I would come home and I would talk to them about that and tell them how I was so proud of that too. That being polite, being courteous, being helpful, that those were traits that were very much in alignment with who God had called them to be. You may have that child who is always willing to share, or that child who would speak up for other people, or that child who is just very helpful, or that child who pays attention and looks at your face and asks you, Mom, are you okay? Can I help you? What can I do for you? Our children are just very different. And so to look on their strengths and affirm them intentionally, that would help to build their confidence, and they will not be in doubt of just how unique and how fearfully and wonderfully made they are. Quoting scripture to them is fine, okay, but we have to apply it. I talked about last week, about what we say, the voices that they're hearing outside, and how we need to be a voice that's bringing a live scripture to them. It's not just in quoting the scripture, it's in personalizing it, is in, application. When you say they are fearfully and wonderfully made, we all are fearfully and wonderfully made. What is unique about that child? What are the unique traits? What are the unique characteristics? Can we talk to them about that? One way that I have done it when my kids were all in the house, we've had like an exercise where we put in names and you draw, and whoever you draw, you're going to write on a card, an index card, something you like about them, something you appreciate about them. And so that you have them affirming one another. Okay. And it gladdens my heart when they are talking and they begin to talk about, a trait that the other person has, that they may not be a strength for them, but they're affirming it in the other person. And someone will say, oh, this person is so this, they would do this for you, or they would do that for you. So that's one way to do it. But I'm just saying, there's something about telling them. There's something about affirming who they are, but just those little things. It may even be an action that the person took. Okay. And being able to later say, when I came in and you did this for me, or you asked me about this, that was so helpful, or that blessed me. Or how they interacted with other people. Maybe you went out, and they saw somebody who was struggling with something, and they went there to help the person. Or you went somewhere after an event, they helped the person to clean up without you asking them to. They just started to, pull the chairs together, wipe down spaces and all of that. I know that's how you train them, but don't just let it be like, well, that's expected. There are other people that don't do that. And so if they did it, even though it's very much what you have trained them to do, say something about it. Affirm that this is something that's such a blessing and it's such a benefit and of value to other people. Let's be intentional about that. I'm going to read to us a scripture. It's in Matthew chapter 3. This is verse 13 to... I'll read to verse 17. And it says, Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to be baptized by John. But John tried to deter him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? And Jesus replied, he said, Let it be so. Now, it is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness. Then John consented. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighted on him. And a voice from heaven said, This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. And so we have God affirming Jesus, affirming him, and then also declaring to the world. So that's the second part I wanted to talk to us about. So while we affirm them, celebrate them too. There is everything good about, having when visitors come.